What's up, everybody, and welcome to a Press X review of Ready Player One. So this is going to be a spoiler-free review, and I'm going to talk a little bit of spoilers at the end, and I'll throw up a spoiler tag. So I saw this movie, and I've got to say, it was great. I had a lot of fun at seeing the movie, and I highly recommend that you go as well. I was a little worried going in. I knew I was going to go see it, but I was a little bit worried going in because I did think it was going to be nostalgia-based. Hey, this movie is all just, here, look, Tracer, here, the Battletoads, oh, Knack, like, whatever. They're going to put all these references out in front of you, and you are going to go, ooh, I get that. Ooh, I get that one. And the movie is going to be, the second to that. And that's not what happens. All this nostalgia stuff is actually just kind of sprinkled throughout. There's really only a little bit of in-depth, where they go a little bit in-depth with it. And I'm not going to talk too much about that because they've done a good job kind of keeping that behind the scenes. Happy that they did that. But it's very rare when we get, anything like that. A lot of it is weird because it's this chaotic element to it, right? There's characters everywhere. You've seen from the trailers. There's characters everywhere. There's all this stuff going on. But at the same time, it's not overwhelming in like an anxiety way where you're like, oh, there's so much going on. It's very fluid and it's this organized chaos that like only Steven Spielberg could give us. But as far as the actual movie goes, I really liked the main two leads. I thought that they did a great job. I actually ended up, from going in, not really digging what their avatar bodies and their expressions and everything, how that was going to go. I ended up loving it. And another worry that I had was that this was just going to be a CG fest, right? This was just going to be like all these other movies that are the Jurassic Worlds and the Ninja Turtles and the Transformers, all these other blockbuster movies. What they're doing is they're just CGing everything, and everything doesn't have that heart. It's missing that heart. Well, I'm happy to report that this doesn't have that problem at all, and I think the reason, not only because the visual is good, but I think the reason is because it does center around a video game. A video game is the focus of this, therefore the video game graphics make sense. This isn't blending the real world with CG. I mean, obviously there's some of that too, but this isn't blending the real world with CG. It's going into a video game world that is supposed to be CG in its own right, and I think that's what makes it work, and that's what makes you excuse that and really get you invested into the story. Now, I will say, the beginning of the movie is definitely kind of like a low point for me because there's a lot of exposition. There's a lot of, let me tell you everything you need to know so that you can follow the next 2 hours of our journey. And like, I'm going to say 50% of it felt unnecessary, but I understand why that 50% was there because there's people watching who don't have the background that I have in, video games and virtual reality and all this stuff. They might not grasp what that is, how it works, and how it could be, implemented in real life, let alone in the movie. And they needed to explain that to people so that they got it and that they could join in. And there's a couple areas in the movie where that stuff happens, where they're like, let me explain my plan, and let me explain it again just in case you didn't get it. I'm going to go into more detail this time. Like, that stuff happens. And then there's only one character in the whole movie that I really wasn't a fan of. And that was a character who's named H. I'm not a big fan of that particular character. Didn't hate it, didn't love it. Kind of like, when I really liked all the other characters. Other than that, this movie was a blast from start to finish. I was invested. I actually enjoyed the story. It wasn't one of those things where I was like, ooh, what's going to happen? But it did have a couple things where I was like, oh, this is the finale. And I was like, ooh, nope. They threw a wrench into the plan. The movie's still going. And it wasn't the bad it's still going. Sometimes we get that bad it's still going where you're like, gosh, I have to spend another 20 minutes in this world. In this instance, it was, I got to spend another 20 minutes in this world. All right. That was something that I really enjoyed about the movie, is that the Oasis world, the virtual world in this movie, is awesome. I have like no complaints about it. I've thoroughly enjoyed everything that they did with it, and if I had a complaint, it's that I wanted to be there more. Like, I would have loved the whole movie to just take place there. You couldn't do that for the sake of how the movie's set up, but really, really enjoyed the Oasis stuff, and then the real life stuff, at least partway through the movie, was kind of dull and boring. But I understand that that's the point, because if it's not dull and boring, then you're like, why are they going to the virtual world? This world's sweet. Like, you can't make the normal world cool and the virtual world cool. So the normal world has this very drab, dark, almost overtone going to it. It's just, you know, run down, all that stuff. And then you go to this virtual world, which is this fantastical, amazing place where anything's possible. And they really did a good job kind of demonstrating that. A lot of movies that tell you, like, anything's possible tend to have a problem proving it. I know, like, the Green Lantern movie, I know I'm bringing it up, but, like, the Green Lantern movie had that problem where it's like, you can make anything, and it's like, a baseball bat. Like, they have issues with that stuff. And I think this movie did a really good job mixing enough, like, real-world stuff with ideas that somebody actually probably would think of for a video game, and smushing that all together. I do want to talk about this movie as a huge gamer. Obviously, there's references lore, and all of it made me smile. I was smiling every time we were in the Oasis, and even sometimes in the real world. I was just smiling. I was so happy watching this movie. I was constantly scoping the screen, looking for characters and references and things that I didn't see, while still following these characters that I did genuinely care about on their journey. This is Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. This is, you know, that E.T. style, like, childhood perspective. We're a little bit older than, I would say, like, the average, you know, Steven Spielberg childlike movie, but that childlike wonder is still in this movie. That kind of fight the power, the adults are wrong about this type thing. All of that is in this movie, and it's done really, really well. Like I said, as far as being just a general, like, film, I'll use the term film, like, no, this isn't the best film that I have seen this year, you know? But as far as just being a movie, a blockbuster, an enjoyable ride, this is it. I had such a blast. I'm gonna go see this one again, maybe multiple times. Like I said, the characters are great, their journey is great, and they had enough surprises and things to keep me interested. There was one in particular that I'm going to talk about in a little bit in spoilers that I'm so happy they kept a surprise, because it genuinely so Ready Player One, go see this movie. I think that we should support it. I think it's a return to form for Spielberg, in, you know, blockbuster sort of way, and I think it's great. I really do, and this is one that I'm actually going to be buying, so good job. Very, very excited to go see it again, and let me know what you guys who have seen it thought of the movie down below. With that said, I'm going to give you guys 5 or 6 seconds or so to clear out of here, because I'm going to go through spoilers, and I don't have anything written down. I'm just kind of going off the top. I'm just going to bring up some things, maybe but here we go. Look at this. I got a little thing here. Boom! Spoilers. Look at that. All right. So as far as spoilers go, I need to talk about that scene. This is one of my favorite scenes in all of cinema, honestly, and that is the Shining recreation in Ready Player One. It was so amazing. So they tease it. They do the fly, blah, 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 and they're like, The Shining. And here I am, having actually recently watched The Shining. I'm like, oh, where is this going? Like, what are we gonna see here? What are we gonna do? And then they get there, and they're on that staircase, ascending the staircase, and I'm in awe. And I'm like, this is amazing. They, like, recreated the set, and they're gonna, you know, have this little playroom set. This is cool. No, they go over multiple scenes, multiple memorable moments from this movie. They do it in a very video gamey way, and it is, dare I say, perfect. It is such a great scene. I loved everything about it. One of my complaints about the movie is I wanted to do that more. I think it would become like a greatest hits, and it would become that, like, nostalgia thing that people were worried about. And it made sense to, it's linked to that clue. You only got to do it once. Like, all that makes sense. But I wouldn't have mind even just some fly through of some other movie. Maybe ones that they mentioned, maybe ones that they didn't. They kind of did it in the beginning with Minecraft and such, and they kind of went through there. But I would have liked to see more of that stuff. Maybe even just every time somebody put the headset on, it ran through a couple worlds or something, just so we could see it and that. I missed a lot of references in this movie. I went and looked afterwards. I know I was serious. Knack was somewhere in that movie. I actually missed Knack. I missed Sackboy. I missed Kratos. I missed Nathan Drake. I saw Lara Croft in the trailer. I didn't see her in the movie. Like, these things are so quick, and I am excited to go back and out and see all this stuff that I missed on my second viewing, because like I said, I was really interested in these characters. So the main two really brought me in. I really adored them. I loved them. After that, we had H, who I was not a big fan of. They did that thing that I knew one character was going to do, which is, oh, it's a boy, but it's really a girl, or oh, it's a girl, but it's really a boy type thing. And there was something just almost cartoony, just something weird about the portrayal of that character when we were in the real world. I had no problems with the digital world version of her. The voice was not my favorite thing. I'm never a fan of like that voice alteration stuff, the Kylo Ren, the Bane. I'm not a big fan of that. But I just, every scene that she was in the real world felt a little bit forced. It just felt like her acting and her charisma and her heart, that thing that I thought was so important in this movie, wasn't as amped up as. Other than that, I love the two. I love the two brothers in this. The Gundam scene was awesome. It got lots of applauses from the fans in the theater, and I thought that was really great. And not only is that smart just to appeal to other territories, it hits a special place in a lot of people's hearts here as well. So I thought that was great. And they kind of set it up in the beginning, talking about how you can transform for 2 minutes into something, kind of yours, and kind of forget about that, but they plant those seeds. And that happened a lot in this movie. There was a couple scenes where I knew what was coming because this isn't my first rodeo, like, oh, they're really in the Oasis when they're pointing guns at this guy. Like, yeah, I don't think that our main characters turning into killers. Like, that one's pretty easy to find out. Some of the other ones were cool. I enjoyed the go backwards on the race. I thought that was a thing, especially the way it was filmed, where you see the race happening above, and it's almost like you're cheating in Mario Kart or on the Super Mario 64, you're like going through the wall. So I enjoyed that quite a lot. The only other thing and I'm interested because, like I said, I'm a gamer, and I know, some gaming history and such, but ever since I was young, I knew that Adventure had the first Easter egg. All that's true. And as soon as they were like, oh, this third challenge is an Atari game, there's so many to choose from, and what could it be? I'm just like, Adventure. Like, right away, it's super obvious that it was Adventure to me. And that was one thing in the movie where I felt like it was a little bit of a drag when they were like naming all the Atari games, trying to find it. And I'm like, guys, come on, somebody needs to know that was the first Easter egg. Like, all these people can't figure that out. So that was one thing that like took me out of it for a minute. I was like, okay, guys, somebody Google something. Let's do this. But yeah, other than that, I really enjoyed it. There was gamer and non-gamer alike in the theater, and I think that they did enough things to appeal to all audiences. Though I do think that all that exposition and such could have been cut out if this wasn't such a big budget movie that needed to appeal to everybody. It was just for gamers and movie lovers. But I think that there is something for everyone. This is great, I think, a good family film. Minus they drop an F-bomb in the in the movie and throw a Chucky, but besides that, I think it's a pretty family-friendly movie. Like I said, a great time, and that Shining scene, phenomenal. So please, down below, let me know what were some of your favorite parts of the movie. Did you love the villain? I really enjoyed that portrayal. The only thing that I was a little iffy on was it seemed like he seemed to go back and forth on whether or not he was okay with killing them or not, and then like it just seemed like, oh, coincidental time for you to kind of rethink that and for this situation to pop up, and he kind of went back and forth. I don't know if they needed to split that character into like the female henchman and Addie, but either way, I really liked what they did with it. I'm impressed how much I liked it. I thought I would enjoy the movie. I think it was. I actually, like I said, I think it's great, and I think it's one of those movies that it has so much heart and it has so much little Easter eggs and everything going for it, and it's crafted with such a love that I can forgive the story that pop up. That's kind of how I feel about it. But like I said, guys, let me know what you thought of Ready Player One in the comments down below. If you're going to throw out spoilers, please just put a spoiler tag right at the top of your post, and in the movie can check that out. But thank you so much for watching this video, and subscribe if you want more reviews, trailer reactions, things like that. Like I said, this new format, I'm trying to get everything kind of ironed away and that working. And then, of course, check out my podcast on Mondays all about video games. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll speak with you next time.